And without further ado, we are going to be kick-starting now. Somebody is wondering, he didn't tell us his name. My name again is Omo. I'm like that guy. I'm from the Niger Delta, and we don't give ourselves words as names. We give ourselves sentences. So I am usually afraid to tell my full name in public. In fact, I'm one of those lawyers. When you get to court and you need to announce appearance, my name is Omo Bugbe Osiakbe Maneteka. The judge looks at me like, and now starts OMOOBUGBE. Osiakbe is spelled, I'll spell, Aneteka is spelled, so I'm one of those guys that waste your time in court. Okay, without much ado, please can we all rise to our feet as we take the national anthem, first and second stanzas of the national anthem as we commence the event. Okay, the Business of Law Conference, this is the second edition. As I said, I was host at the last edition, and it's a great privilege to be host here as well today. The theme for this year is positioning lawyers and the legal industry for more business opportunities. The truth is, there are opportunities everywhere that there are problems, and our country seems to have a lot of problems, including legal problems. So how can we as lawyers position ourselves to milk those opportunities, take the benefits of them, and ensure that we are thriving, and then our economy or our practice is also thriving. So ladies and gentlemen, to give us the welcome address, I'd like to welcome to the microphone the chairman for this year's planning committee, Mr. Temiloluwa Dosunmu. Temiloluwa Dosunmu. A round of applause for Temiloluwa Dosunmu. Please let's keep clapping for him. Thank you, Temi.
Good morning, everyone, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's with great delight that I welcome all our sponsors, partners, panelists, and participants to the Business of Law Conference 2020. This year's conference, themed Visibility, Positioning Lawyers and the Legal Industry for More Business Opportunities, provides an opportunity to examine dynamic perspectives around visibility as a timeless tool to enhance the intersection between the knowledge of law and its practical business elements. Business intelligence for lawyers remains either hushed or avoided altogether due to the sobriety or nobility lawyers are expected to exude. The thrust of this conference is a campaign against the deep-seated conservatism of the legal profession, which has stifled the growth of the legal services subsector, rendering it unattractive to clients, investors, and innovators. The fourth industrial revolution will indeed bypass any profession that fails to retool, upskill, and align with the fast-paced realities of commercial trends in consumer servicing. Please sit back, relax, engage, and network as we deliver value from a business perspective to the legal profession, legal practitioners, and business leaders. We hope this opens new vistas for learning, collaboration, and profit maximization. You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, one more time, a round of applause for Mr. Dosunmu. Mr. Dosunmu is an associate at Tech Data Protection and Dispute Resolution at Simmons Coopers Partners, one of our partners today. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it actually says a lot about the conveners of this conference, because last year it was like there was no planning committee chairman. This year we have a chairman. So it means that we are growing in making sure that we deliver value to the attendees of this conference. And we're also growing in the sense that this year I have a co-host who will be joining me My only challenge is how we share this mic because there are no handheld mics. However, before I introduce him, I'd like to welcome for our address the convener of the Business of Law Conference. Ladies and gentlemen, she's somebody I know personally, and I know that this conference comes at great cost, personal cost to her, because she wants to deliver value and she wants to enlighten and make sure that everybody in the legal profession enjoys the business side of it. It's not just the law, and there is no money in the pocket. So, ladies, why are you laughing? But that's the truth sometimes. There are a lot of people just be ailing in your area. The law. Okay, you are feeling... Okay. Please help me welcome to the microphone Busola Ajala, convener of the Business of Law Conference and founder Strictly Law Business Community. Please, a round of applause for her. She is small and mighty, trust me. Okay, Busola once again.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Are we happy to be here? Thank you so much for honoring our invitation this year again. It's the second in our edition of the Business of Law Conference. The keynote speaker, the Business of Law Conference Planning Committee, members are incredible lineup of panelists, industry leaders, business executives, special guests, learned seniors, and colleagues, and our distinguished law students. I welcome you all to this audacious conference. Big welcome to those who are also joining us online. Strictly Law Business, as you know, is the premier training platform for lawyers to gain mastery of the business of law, develop strategies for monetization of legal knowledge and skills, develop strategy for the monetization of legal knowledge and skills, and grow profitable law practice. The Business of Law Conference, which is our flagship event, holds January of every year. Last year, we had about 300 attendees at the maiden edition. Our theme for this year's conference is visibility, positioning lawyers and the legal industry for more business opportunities. The rationale behind the theme is to enable lawyers at all levels and cadre, law firm administrators, and the entire legal industry gain awareness and begin to apply the principles of visibility, networking, business development in attracting business opportunities whilst ensuring growth and profitability. I'd like to pause here for a while. So sometimes in 2018, I opened up a Facebook community called the Profitable Lawyers Network before I changed it to the Strictly Law Business Network. And I remember that once we had several people give us several sessions in the Facebook group, and we invited someone who calls himself a visibility expert, and he gave a thorough analysis of the number of people online who need daily legal services in Nigeria. One of the statistics he gave is over 3 million people have indicated interest in legal services in Nigeria. That should tell you something. The number of lawyers we have is not enough to service the demands. It therefore means that there are lots of business opportunities, there are lots of briefs, there are lots of clients that we can get hold of. If only we are properly positioned, if only we are visible to our clients, for them to trust us, to know us, to trust us, and to like us. And to be able to repose faith in our for us to be able to repose faith in them that we can deliver. I give another story. A very good friend of mine, and I've said this story before, a very good friend of mine, we've been friends for a long time, Facebook friends. In February 14, 2018 was Valentine's Day, and people were giving freebies, giveaways on Facebook, on Instagram, and I didn't have anything to give in cash. But I realized that, I remember that, oh, I'm a lawyer and people would need legal services. And so I made the offer that the first 3 people to get on this, I would offer them free legal services. And a lot of people jumped on the offer. And this, my very good friend, was one of them. And we got talking, I started consulting for him. And he said, oh, by the way, Busola, up until today, I never knew you were a lawyer. And that was a feedback for me, that he is my friend, but he doesn't know I am a lawyer. Not that he does not know that, I'm in the legal profession, but he has not ingrained it into his consciousness that I am a lawyer and that I can provide services for him. I tell you, the moment he knew, I started consulting for him. He's into the e-commerce space and he operates from China now. So you can imagine the kind of, let me stop at that. So the essence of this, of my stories is to say there are a lot of business opportunities for us as lawyers. I know that we keep saying the law school churns out, tons of lawyers every year, and we're looking for where to position ourselves. We're looking for law firms. We're looking for organizations. We're looking for chambers and all of that. But there are a lot of opportunities that we have actually not taken advantage of. And one of the reasons is because we are not very visible to those who need our services. Why would the first point of call for debt recovery be a police officer? Why not a lawyer? It's when they've exhausted all options, they remember there's a lawyer by the corner. Why? Because we've not projected ourselves visible enough for them to hire us. Or we may not have also displayed how competent we are for them to be able to repose faith in us and hire our services. I'll continue with my speech. Visibility is the basic principle that the more likely users will know about them and how to use them. By making ourselves visible, we will be well positioned for more briefs and business opportunities, and in turn increase our revenue base and profit margin. Visibility helps us to build our KLT factor. That's the know, like, and trust factor. I must know you. I must know that you are a lawyer. Our clients, our target clients must know us. They must know that we are lawyers. A lot of us are on Facebook, but we're not on Facebook as lawyers. We're on Twitter and other social media platforms, but we've not been able to clearly identify ourselves as lawyers. They must like us. How do you endear people to you? They must trust us. And how can they trust us? You can start with, free offer, pro bono. One of the examples I usually give to people, and which I've also tested myself, is free legal clinic, and it costs you nothing. WhatsApp is there. A lot of people, you can get them on the group, and just consult for them, 30 minutes. Just give them testers, and then let them come back for the main course, and then you charge them then. So they must know us, like and trust us. The more visible we are to our target market and clients, the more they know us, have faith in our capacity and competence, and subsequently hire us. It is absolutely difficult to be out of sight and tuned off from your target market and expect to land briefs regularly. I am not getting jobs. I am not getting jobs. No, but how would we get jobs if nobody knows us? Excuse me. We have to consistently create top-of-mind awareness for ourselves and our law firms. And to help us gain more insights and better perspectives on the subject of visibility, we have carefully and strategically structured the conference in a way that allows participants to gain value and learn from the stories and experiences of top industry leaders, gain business visibility insights from business executives, while also listening and learning from the upcoming lawyers. So this year we decided that we're going to introduce a new session to our conference, which is the law firm segment. We want to also hear from the law firms. we see that a number of law firms are becoming, very innovative. They are evolving. They are collaborating and partnering with other business communities. And I am very certain that would have translated into a lot of briefs, more clients, and a return also, ROI, and profitability. So we would like to hear from them. Let us know what it has been like, and let us also let them share their secrets with us so that we can, learn. I enjoin every participant to set their goals for the conference, ensure 100% mind presence, learn as much as you can, and begin to devise strategies for visibility while within this conference hall. So it's not enough for us to listen. I think we have our pens and papers with us. Let us begin to take notes of from the stories and from the lessons that will be shared. You know the area of law in which you practice or your law firm practices, and so maybe from the stories or from the experiences that will be shared, you can get one or two things. I think I would enjoin us to begin to pencil it down. Let's pen it down. Let's begin to look at our practice and see where we can implement, or the things that we can implement, those tips and strategies that will be shared today. So it's enough for us to just come here to learn. I tell members, by the way, where are the SLB community members? I can't hear you guys. Hello, guys. So we have a great community. We have a great community of SLB community. It's on WhatsApp. We are full now, so a lot of people are on the wait list. What we do basically at the community is we share on a daily basis. We do not talk about law practice. We talk about business. We talk about business of law. And you can ask from the community members. A lot of people have gotten value. And a lot of people keep coming to my inbox every day to say that tip that was shared. So we have someone moderate the session. And every member of our community are all leaders. So we have somebody moderate sessions on daily basis. When the information and the value we were getting was becoming too much, we had to now reduce it to 3 times a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So people would share their experiences, they would share the secrets they are also using, they share the strategies they've been using, and a lot of people have gotten value. People who came without knowing how to fully navigate their law practice from the businessman's perspective now have full understanding. I'm sure you can testify to that. Thank you. So at this junction, I would like to thank God, my Heavenly Father, for giving me this wonderful privilege and for making me the custodian of this project. Because without him, I couldn't have done anything. I wouldn't be able to do this. So I want to appreciate and acknowledge God. I want to give him all the glory and praise. I also want to thank my parents, my mentors also. I have a couple of my mentors in this room. I want to thank them for this opportunity. I want to thank them for always listening to me and helping me to navigate my way. I also want to thank the distinguished members of the planning committee. Where are we? Are we here? All right. Hi, guys. So high five to you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the tireless work we did in trying to put all of this together. I want to thank also the volunteers. Thank you so much. These people have been volunteering, and we're not paying them, so it's a voluntary services. So we thank you so much, and I also want to thank members of the SLB community. Thank you for the works and the efforts you put together into making this conference a reality. I would also want to thank our keynote speaker. I would especially want to thank Mr. Israel Aye for this opportunity and for, at a very short notice, granting our request. Our initial keynote speaker had declined, and it was at a very short notice. We made a call on him, and he gracefully honored us. Thank you, sir. The Lord honor you. Please appreciate him. I also want to thank every member of the panelists. Thank you so much. Thank you. I know we reached out to some of you at a very short notice, and you obliged us. We are very, very grateful. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to share with us. We also want to thank our sponsors for their faith in us. I want to thank our partners also for helping us reach more people. We thank you all. I thank all our special guests. I want to thank Mrs. Sylvia Nzekwe. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for being here. Thank you for honoring us with your presence. I welcome everyone in this hall, as well as those who will be joining us online, to the Business of Law Conference 2020. Now we can declare the conference open.
My name is Oyindolapo Olushisi, and when I'm not here at events, hosting events, I practice law, more in the tech space, particularly, financial technology. As Busola has said, there is going to be a lot of disruptions, going forward. We've been seeing a couple of them. We've been seeing all the acquisitions, that have been going here and there. And more of such acquisitions, more of such innovations, more of such disruptions will definitely come. And I want to be, gladly prepared for that challenge when, the opportunity meets me. So once again, I welcome all of us to this event. And I can promise you that from the lineup of facilitators and panelists that we have, you are definitely going to have a very wonderful time here. It's not just going to be educative, it's also going to be fun, because we have tried to, diversify the kind of people that have been invited, specially invited, for the purpose of ensuring that we have the best time here today. And I'll be recognizing the presence of some of our panelists that are already available. As you know, we have 4 panel sessions here that cut across the practice, the business, of law, and then how we can enhance our visibility as lawyers. As I like to say, we realize that a lot of people, finish from law school or have even been practicing for a period of time, but are still yet to get a hang of how exactly they can, commercialize their law practice. It's not just about understanding what it means to be a brilliant lawyer. It's not just about knowing where to find all of the laws any longer. It's now about how can I sell my skill and my knowledge as a lawyer. And I'm sure that by the end of this event today, you are going to have had sufficient knowledge and exposure to be able to get the best out of your knowledge as a lawyer. Without further ado, I'll be recognizing the presence of Mr. Olashupo Shashore, SAN. He's one of our panelists today. Thank you very much, sir. As we all know, he's a former Attorney General of Lagos State and a partner at African Law Practice. Again, I'll be recognizing the presence of Mrs. Adiremi Olode. Please pardon me if I mispronounce the name. I apologize, ma. Thank you very much, ma. We recognize the presence of Mr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN. He's a managing partner, of course, of SP Ajibade and Co. I'd like to recognize, again, the presence of Mr. Kunle Obebe. Please, thank you very much, I pronounced that well. The partner of Bloomfield Law Practice. I'd like to recognize the presence of Mr. Tolu Adiremi. Thank you very much, sir, for being here with us. Again, we have with us Mr. Sheung Idowu. He's the head private trust and equity at Zenith, Quantum Zenith. So as the program continues, unfolds, we will be recognizing the presence of other panelists that join us or that are here available that I cannot put a name to the faces here so that I don't just Miss Yan. Again, we'd like to recognize the support of our sponsors. We had a host of people, a host of organizations supported this event today, and that is why this event has been put together so as perfectly as we could. We have Africa Legal, we have Benga Biobaku and Co. Please let's just give them a round of applause as I mentioned their names. We have Templars, we have SPA Ajibade and Co. We have Africa Law Practice, we have Professor Ebi Kasomos Chambers, LP. Let's keep clapping, please. Let's keep clapping. We have DNL Legal and Style. We have Simons Cooper Partners. We have, of course, the Strictly Law Business that is putting this event together. And then again, we have me, Oyindolapo Olushisi. I also sponsor the event in my own way. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for finding time to be here today. I promise you that it's going to be a wonderful time here at the Moson Center. Please, as you're seated, anything that hits you, that hits you, not in the Brother Shaggy style, but anything that hits you from, say, maybe one of the panelists just drop a bomb dish, and anything just hits you, just tweet it and put at SLB on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. Thank you very much. I'll welcome my co-host to continue the show. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting right into it now. Thank you all for coming to stand and be with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce the keynote speaker for today. Before I read his profile, as someone always does, let me first speak from my heart. If there's somebody I know who has a heart for young lawyers and who has a mindset of the future to make sure that everybody in the legal profession succeeds and earns well, it is our keynote speaker, in the sense that he's not just a big lawyer, he's also a mentor to many of us. And I've been particularly being one of those he's mentored, even though I look like a prodigal son sometimes, but he's my mentor regardless. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker for today is Mr. Israel Aye. Mr. Israel Aye is a senior partner, energy and commercial transactions at Primera Africa Legal, and is the founder of mylaw.ng, a virtual platform for legal services. Israel has extensive commercial and litigation knowledge of the oil and gas business in Nigeria, and I think it's been quoted among the who is who legal oil and gas. Mr. Israel was called to bar in 1993 when some of us were still wearing diapers. He spent a long time serving in the legal in-house counsel for Shell Petroleum. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Mr. Israel Aye.
All right, good morning, everybody. And I'd like to just acknowledge the learned senior advocates who are here with us, distinguished colleagues, sub-seniors, some of my contemporaries. And I'd like to think that a lot of you younger colleagues that are here. My task is easy, as you can tell. I'm a reserve resource for SLB. So I sort of stand by. You know, that sort of, I like to think I'm a utility player, right? Hopefully comes in to bring about a little bit of change. Anyway, I remember the Business of Law Conference 1.0. There was a lot of buzz leading on to it. And so, not too surprisingly, the hall was packed to the overflowing. But I'm a bit surprised as well, because this was a bit quiet, and maybe I'm not as online as I used to be, but the hall is still packed. So, Busola, I think you have a grace in this space. Just that passion and hunger to demystify the business of law, particularly for the benefit of our younger colleagues. So let's get to it. My task is easy. It's to make a few random comments for the next 10 minutes. The difficult part will be undertaken by the panelists, who will then come and take you through the nitty-gritty of how you can be visible profitably. And I like to say that Busola's Busola's speech and some of the comments in between the speech were really quite instructive, and I hope we paid particular attention to the things that she shared. But how do I begin? Usually I like to ask the question why. You know, and because if you know the why, then the rest is quite easy. Yeah, if you think about it. Why visibility? Why do we as lawyers need to be visible? So that's one question I'd like to sort of ask, put out there, and have us contemplate. And perhaps to also ask the question, why are we then not visible? Or why lawyers, why? Because if we're having such a conference, it means that a lot of lawyers are not visible. And that's probably more correct or true for older folks than it is perhaps for the younger folks. But I think Busola addressed one of the issues for me, which is the fact that a lot of us here are visible, particularly online, but not visible in a manner that is profitable for us. So our presence online is not translating to any sort of impact on the bottom line. So that's something I believe that living here today, we'll be able to tweak. We can still be cool and be cool lawyers. And so she talked about TLK, KLT. That's you need to be known, you need to be liked, and you need to be trusted. And so the likability factor is perhaps the fact that we would present ourselves in a way that we are not a joke, but not too intimidating and chasing people back. So the question, why do we need to be visible? And I'd like to read a quote here. It says, law firms are experiencing a wrenching period of upheaval, economic crisis, technology explosions, and the regulatory revolution have spawned a wave of innovative competitors. New empowered clients have adopted aggressive buying behaviors and begun dictating the terms of their relationships to law firms. And this is a quote by Jordan Furlong, a gentleman who wrote a book recently titled, Law is a Buyer's Market, Building a Client's First Law Firm. And that's probably, the first point I'd like to make is that the business model or the approach that many of us have adopted to the practice of the law today, at best, is a 19th century business model. And I like to say that maybe because of the clerical origins of our profession, again, if you look at the vestment we wear, it's quite similar to what Anglican priests wear, right? And so that is to tell us that because of the clerical origins of our profession, it's by nature designed to be both conservative and shy almost, so that you don't put yourself out there. Even the signposts announcing your presence is of a specific dimension. It's small, it's just there, and people are supposed to come to you. So it started at that, and it transformed gradually to becoming just an elitist vocation. And perhaps that was assisted by the fact that the supply of lawyers was few, relative to the market. And it was for a very long time a seller's market, if you used that language. However, that's changed, and we have a profession that is today in transition. It is no longer a seller's market. It has become a buyer's market. And what are the things that are driving that change? Some of the things that are driving that change essentially, if you boiled it to one word, that word perhaps for me will be options. The buyers today have a lot of options, okay? They have substitutes for the things that we do. And at all events, you understand as well that we were rooted for a long time to perhaps not so much, not that much value added activities that don't even necessarily legal, that don't draw on our training and our expertise as lawyers. So if you take some of the things that lawyers claim as their domain or territory, it's just really an opportunity for us to extract rent and to set up toll gates, right? Like registrations. Did anybody teach you anything about registrations in school? CAC registration, land registrations, and those kinds of activities that are not necessarily value add. There are elements and aspects of it which are legal, but there are some that are not. But today, clients are beginning to, CAC, for example, has created a platform that allows people to be able to come and register their companies themselves. So that's a whole slew of legal work that is potentially going. It's in transition. A lot of people still don't feel comfortable to get on those platforms and to do the registrations themselves, but I guarantee you that it's not going to be very long from now before people get comfortable with the technology and are able to do so. So there are substitutes today that people have access to, and there are options. How many of us realize that one of the biggest competitors to the legal profession, for example, today, is Google? Google is your friend, right? Because it's amazing how many templates you can find on Google. We found that out when we ventured into the tech space, and we have a platform. We say to people, well, just for a pittance, you can come and get some things And I said, well, we appreciate the effort you have put into this, but why should we come to you when we can get this exact thing free? And we said, well, you can't trust the source. But again, the thing about substitutes is that they don't have to be exactly like the original. If they can do as closely enough to what you do, yeah, then they're just they're about good enough. Layer on top of that for Nigeria the fact that we're really not a rule of law-driven society just yet. So for the most part, people don't resort to the law, except they really have to. So there's a bit of a challenge right there. So we are engaged in a profession that is in transition. That's probably the point I need to make. And what it means, therefore, is that our behavior as lawyers need to change. We need to understand that it's the buyer's market, not the seller's market. And one of the things you need to do when you are in a buyer's market is that you need to get creative about being out there, getting to the people to know you, to like you, and to what? And to trust you. And one of the pivots we need to make is that we also have to become a solutions-focused profession. We need to be, because again, the clientele out there are getting smarter, they're getting more informed, and they're not really they're not really interested in our legal expertise. They're more interested in the solutions that we provide. So we need to pivot from clocking time, and we don't quite clock time, by the way here. We have rates to put them out, but there are a few occasions in my experience that we need to clock time because there's so many things that build time here, traffic and all of that. So not a lot of people are allowed to clock time, but conceptually, people just don't want you to show off and, recite a lot of just jargons and legalese to them anymore. No, not at all. Yeah? So they would like us to think more in terms of solutions. And one of the areas where we need, and thankfully we have a few senior members of the bar here, where we probably need to rethink our business model as lawyers is what is probably referred to in other jurisdictions as alternative business structures. Because the market, particularly in the commercial space, no longer, really hire or engage specific professionals. They engage solution providers. And so if you have a PPP client, for example, they're not looking for a lawyer and an accountant and an engineer and the rest of it. They're looking for people who can come together and create end-to-end solutions, And I don't know what the basis is, but I think in the way our own regulations are set up right now, we basically can't even set up as that as one. If we enter into those consortia, I'm not sure to what extent we can lead them or not lead them. But we need to be able to position ourselves in order to be able to lead those kinds of consortia and be able to provide value to the market. So I just wanted to provide a bit of that background because there are people who are better qualified to talk about the hows of visibility. But I agree with every presentation that's been made up to this point that it is important for us to show up and be seen. Like somebody said, the problem with not showing up is like somebody who winked in the dark. The only person that knows that you winked is yourself. Now, of what use it is if you don't put out your stall? If you go to the market, and even traders teach us a very basic thing. Every morning you come out and you put out your stall. You showcase what you can do. And so I'd like to recommend that one of the things that we should really be doing is not just putting ourselves out there as lawyers, but indeed to put ourselves out there as solution providers. That's probably my only contribution to this morning's conversations, that we need to find creative ways of saying, listen, we can deliver solutions to you. So what is happening in the tech law space particularly is, in some of the ways we're attempting to do that is to commoditize the low end, what we call the repetitive, mundane aspects of our practice and offer those at predictable rates. And another thing we do, particularly, is to also introduce another concept, which is the modularization of payments, of fees. Yeah? The modularization of fees. And that, by the way, is not entirely creative, because if you go to the provinces outside of Lagos, that's really what happens. It's rarely the case if you go to the provinces that anybody charges the kind of monies you charge in Lagos and Abuja, maybe Port Harcourt, for legal matters. So doing land, you probably would be paid mostly in tubers of yam and bottles of oil and a little bit of transport to the courts until the matter is won, and then you get large tracts of land, and then you can get your money on the back of it. So those are things that we probably can begin to communicate to the market out there, that we understand what is going on, we're in tune with the changes, we ourselves are in transition, our mindsets are changing, and we are solution providers. Now, like I said, I'll really avoid just getting into too much of the details of visibility, but I'll say a couple or so things. What are the ways that you can go about being visible? It's not enough to be visible, but to be visible the right way. So I just talked about two things, and I'll take my seat so that we can get into the business. The first thing I want to do is say two or three things, actually. The first one is volunteering, and I'm sure you're going to hear a bit more details about volunteering. It's amazing what you can, it's amazing what you can get by volunteering. Okay, I mean, there's a colleague of mine who is very fast rising in the arbitration space, and until that time she did, in fact, in our firm, she was the only partner who didn't have any certification in arbitration, prior to this time. I mean, everybody else had some sort of certification in arbitration, but when they were organizing a conference, she was available, she volunteered, and just from there on, she became some regional coordinator of a major international arbitration association. And as I speak with you, she's clerked for about 4 arbitral panels. She just got appointed as arbitrator for her first arbitration. And she's pivoted. That came on the back of volunteering. Not only for legal events. You see, your report is being written as a lawyer every day, everywhere, every time. And time will not allow me to tell you what I refer to as the parable of photocopy. But I remember once that one of my bosses in the very early days in Shell, speaking about me to someone else, said, this is Israel, he's a very good lawyer. Now, what's the story? Perhaps I don't know whether I am or not, but the story was that his encounter with me, his only interaction with me was photocopy. They had given me, because I was very junior student, they had given me stuff to photocopy. And going by the way things happen typically in that organization, it would have taken a minimum of a week to deliver those, because it was bound 3 volumes. Yeah? Okay, I've got about 5 minutes more. 3 volumes of books. But I took those books, I went to the graphic section, sat with it, did it, and had it back in an hour or less, because they have those fast photocopiers. And so when I gave them to him, he was like, no, that didn't happen. I said, well, this is it. These are the originals, and they were bound in exactly the same color red. And he just shook his head and left. And that was the only interaction we had. But that for him was indicative of the fact that I was what? A great lawyer. So, you may have the opportunity to volunteer in church, you may have the opportunity to volunteer in your neighborhood, in some whatever else, but conduct yourself well. Add value. Don't be argumentative. Don't go there and be quoting law from up to down and just upsetting everybody and annoying everybody in the process. Particularly for younger lawyers, I don't know, we do that quite a fair bit. Just go there and add value. Yeah? So that's the first thing. So like I said, I wouldn't get into that very much. The second thing I want to say there is networking. Again, let us understand that if you don't say, here am I, nobody's going to say, there you are. And it's important to approach the art of networking from the mindset of give and take. Many of us think that networking is the opportunity to ambush our helpers. How many of you have to ambush our divine helpers? And I'd like to encourage you not to. So get out there, there are a lot of free events in this town, yeah? A lot of free events in this town, so get out, go to those places. When you have the opportunity to network, what you're looking for is who might need me and who I may need. Don't try to sell legal services at that point, but just be a part of the network. How many of you, have had dropped calls before? It's when you have network failure. That's a dead, there's a dead cell. So if nothing is passing through you, it means that you are not a valuable member of a network. It is hardly ever the case that you're just receiving in the network. You are transmitting, you have to be part of the nodal points that transmit signals up and down, and you have something that you can give. The profession is changing. In our tech space, 2 of the co-founders are under 5 years post-score. So again, it doesn't take 20 years to become a partner these days, because there are new practice areas that are coming up. And quite frankly, there is no expert in any of those new practice areas, even among the senior members of the bar. So you have an opportunity to accelerate rapidly within the profession, but you have to understand the art of networking. And then the last thing I want to say, and there's a lot more I can, but the last thing I want to say before I take my seat is don't sell from an empty wagon, okay? Don't sell from an empty wagon. What it means is you will be successful at your profession to the extent that you continue to add value to yourself. So continue to look for ways to be a valuable member of a network, to create solutions and to put solutions out there. And, for the most part, people will look for you just because you can help. You can help provide solutions, not because you can. How many of us have had interactions with and then I'm not asking this side, so please don't respond to me, with lawyers from the Magic Circle law firms? If you have the typical mindset of the Nigerian lawyer, in how many days and whatever interaction with them, you just get the impression that, is this guy a lawyer at all? Because they hardly ever speak the law. Have you noticed? They hardly ever put out the law. But the solutions they put out are legally what? Sound. And that is a combination, that, for me, that level of practice is just the collaboration of the law, of hospitality, and of project management. But at the end of the day, it's putting out solutions. So don't sell from an empty wagon. I am very optimistic that this conference will tool us, prepare us to be not only valuable members of our society and of the profession, but also will impact our bottom line going forward. Thank you very much. Have a fruitful and productive conference.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful speech. I'm sure that we had a lot of things to learn from that very short speech. I personally had quite a number of things to write down because, of course, I will be doing myself a bad business if I just sit down there waiting for the next time I'm going to come up stage to come and introduce the next person to speak. So I had a couple of things to write down, and I hope you did have yours too, but I'll just mention a couple of things that I think were the highlights for me. He said that it is important to show up and be seen. So it's just like when you attend a wedding and then you were so beautifully robed, but then the wedding people did not even know that the couple did not know that you were around. So it is important that you do not just show up, it is important that you are seen. Then he said that one of the ways to be visible is that we should volunteer. So, and then of course it was very clear that when you volunteer, you should conduct yourself well. So you should always see it as a continuous process of packaging yourself. So you are not just, packaging yourself. You are not expected to be of good behavior, of moderate, ambience when you are at the law firm or you are in court. So when you are volunteering either as an usher at an event, of course as lawyers we volunteer as an usher, either as an MC or whatever, in whatever capacity you are volunteering, you should ensure that you conduct yourself well. Then he also said that we should network. He said that you should approach networking from the mindset of give and take. I wrote this in capital in uppercase. Don't ambush your helpers. The fact that the MD CEO or the managing partner of African Law Practice had given you his card and accepted to be your mentor does not mean that when you now have family problems, when you have marital issues, when you have parental problems, sir, my daddy is on the sick bed, can you please send us 5,000? When he gives you, if he gives you that one, the next time you call him, he will see you as a problem bringer. He will never see you as a solution provider. So that is very important. Please don't ambush your helpers. Then he also said that don't sell from an empty wagon. You can only be as successful as you are valuable. That is very important. So those of us that want to, start brandishing ourselves as managing partners of XYZ law firms, it is important that you understand that what Mr. Babatunde Ajibade, has acquired over the years, the experience he has garnered over the years, it was by, consistently developing himself. So if you want to be a managing partner of your own law firm, it comes with hard work, and you must be ready to do that. Without further wasting our time, I'm sure you all had your own notes to take while we were speaking. We'll be going straight to the first panel session. How many of us are excited about this first panel session? If you're excited, please let me see your hands up. Thank you. You see, it's it is not just power-packed. You don't just have 2 SANs on that panel. The people there are very deep. These are people that started from the bottom, now they are here. So these are people that were once struggling, trying to understand what exactly was they needed to do, to make it in this legal profession that seems very saturated. And now they are here giving us this, invaluable experiences that they have garnered over the years free of charge. Can we give them a round of applause before they even come off stage, please? Thank you very much. So the first person, the first panelist I'll be inviting here upstage is Mr. Olasupo Shashore, SAN. Let's give him a round of applause, please, as he comes off stage. So just as it comes off stage, I'll just read the profile so we can do things very quickly. Mr. Shukbo Shashore is a senior advocate of Nigeria and is a partner at African Law Practice ALP Legal, a leading commercial law firm in Nigeria. Although well known for his defense of multinationals and state sovereigns in many disputes in the Supreme and Appellate Courts in Nigeria, he is notably an investigative historian and author. Wow. He has served as chairman of the Lagos History Committee that produced the seminal work, The History of Lagos from Earliest Times. That's interesting. With some of the country's leading academic historians. After serving in law enforcement and public administration as Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice of the Lagos State 2007 to 2011, he made more time for his part-time research and writing, resulting in the award-winning narrative history works, Possessed, A History of the Crown Colony of Lagos, King and Colony, A Short History of the British Possession of Lagos, and A Platter of Gold, Making of Nigeria, 1906 to 1960. He's the chairman, Nigerian Advocacy Board, Advisory Board of the Commonwealth Enterprise and Investment Council, and member of its International Advisory Board, chairman of the Nigerian Commonwealth Walkaway Committee, chairman Lagos Theatre Festival, LTF Foundation. He serves on several private and statutory boards and is frequently consulted advisor on energy and infrastructure, as well as an expert on Nigerian law and foreign or international tribunals. Shashore is a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators and past chairman arbitration and ADR committee of the Nigerian Bar Association section on business law. He's a former president of the Lagos Court of Arbitration. He's a member of the London Court of International Arbitration Africa User Group, the panel of recognized international market experts, and his advisory committee, and a former board member of International Lawyers for Africa. Some of his other books are Jurisdiction and Sovereign Immunity in Nigerian Commercial Law, and Commercial Arbitration Law and International Practice in Nigeria. He's passionate about Nigeria's unsung heroes and promoting international history, particularly Nigeria's heritage within the world history. In a combination of both his keen interests, he is one of the pioneer trustees of the Legal History Society of Nigeria. He recently worked as a writer and presenter of the 7-part documentary series, Journey of an African Colony and Platter of Gold. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Olaki. The next person I'll be inviting here upstage is Mrs. Adewumi Alode. I hope I pronounced it well this time around. So as she comes upstage, I'll read her profile. Mrs. Adewumi Alode is the General Counsel and Company Secretary of Lafarge Africa PLC. She has over 15 years' experience spanning from company secretarial practice, project management, drafting and review of onshore and offshore contracts, claim and litigation management, compliance legislation of permits and licenses, employment laws, and general legal services. She has advised on several multi-billion-dollar projects ranging from mergers and acquisition, rights issues, syndicated loan, transaction, power purchase transactions, share buybacks, and a couple of others. She has an impeccable track record of excellence both at workplace and beyond. Mrs. Alode was recently recognized and awarded with 40 under 40 awards by ESQ Nigerian Legal Awards for 2019. She is equally ranked among the top 50 general counsel in 2019. Mrs. Adewumi Alode is a strong advocate of the Boy Child campaign through our social media pages on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Boy to Men Intel. Oh, Boys to Men International. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please let's make welcome Mrs. Adewumi. Thank you very much for that. Interestingly, I decided to skip a lot of the information on their profile, but it still seemed long. That's interesting. Okay, so the next person I'll be inviting upstage is Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN. Ladies and gentlemen, please. All right. I don't know how much I'm going to skip again. I try just wanting to make it brief. All right, so Dr. Ajibade, SAN, is a managing partner of SP Ajibade & Co. And since his admission to the bar in 1989, he has been engaged in active and full-time corporate and commercial practice, save for time taken out to pursue his postgraduate education. Dr. Ajibade has been involved in all aspects of commercial and commercial dispute resolution in Nigeria and has expertise in litigation involving the recognition and enforcement of foreign judgments. He is a fellow of the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies in London and a fellow of the International Bar Association and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitration, United Kingdom. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make welcome Dr. Ajibade. All right, the next person I'll be inviting here is Mr. Kunle Obebe. Let's welcome him, please. All right, so we'll try to keep it brief again. Adekunle is recognized as one of the foremost Nigerian lawyers in immigration, employment, and labor matters, and is frequently sought after as local counsel for large international companies. He is a certified global mobility specialist and a regular speaker at Nigerian and international conferences or seminars on regulatory compliance and emerging corporate immigration issues in Nigeria. He is highly knowledgeable in commercial litigation and arbitration and tax. He's a managing partner and chair of Bloomfield Dispute Resolution, Immigration, and Tax Employment and Labor Practice Groups. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Kunle Obebe. And the moderator for this session is Mr. Tolu Aderemi. Mr. Tolu Aderemi, please. All right, very quickly again. Mr. Tolu Aderemi commenced his legal career in commercial litigation with the firm of Mike Igbugwe, SAN & Co. in 2006 after his call to the bar. He has a postgraduate degree in oil and gas from the University of Aberdeen, John Taylor University Scholar, a bachelor's degree in law from the Nigerian Law School and from the University of Ibadan. After qualification, he began working in maritime law and general commercial litigation. In 2006, he joined Petstone and Grace, where he is currently a partner. Who is who legal says? The excellent Tolu Aderemi is a highly regarded practitioner with extensive expertise in complex oil and gas, power and general commercial transactions, and energy-related disputes. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing is very sure from this panel session that we're about to have. It is power-packed, and I can assure you once again that you are going to have the best. So I implore all of us to ensure that we have our pens and papers ready to take down all the notes that we can take as we commence this panel session. Thank you once again.
Marketing my services and my knowledge as a young lawyer. So it will be good to hear from you, sir. Did you start creating this level of visibility having become a senior advocate of Nigeria or before becoming a senior advocate of Nigeria? We would like to share your thoughts, sir.
Thank you, Tolu, and good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Tolu did say that he would like to start with the most senior members of the panel. So handing me the microphone was not the right thing to do. So I yield to my senior brother, Mr. Shashore.
Very skillfully done. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Tolu, it's a difficult question because it involves a lot of hindsight consideration. You like to think that you know what you're doing now, but it's very difficult to piece back together what you were doing then and say that you actually knew what you were doing. But there is a lot of sense in it, in the sense that if you find yourself in a marketplace and you are lost in the crowd, it's not likely that you will be the person who will sell the most goods that day. So thinking back, there had to be something differentiating about you. And we knew that not because we were taught it, but because we just knew that you had to do the best that you could. I guess now the business of law has a lot more science to it. There's a lot more anecdote to help to train people with. Dr. Ajibade and I were talking just on the side there before we came on about how, just looking at the younger members of the bar, contrary to public opinion, there's a lot more hope for the future of legal business than one would ordinarily think. And that if we had half of the enthusiasm and half of the just the mettle that the younger lawyers are exhibiting now, maybe things would have been a lot easier and would have gone a lot further. Again, particularly since the odds these days are even stacked higher than they were against us back then. But I would say one thing that stands out to me is a little story, then I will take an anecdote from the story. A friend of mine, a very good friend of mine who wasn't a politician, was running for the governor of the most populous state in the country. I won't tell you who it was. And he was a lawyer. He wasn't a politician. So, and we weren't politicians either. So we wanted to help him in his cause to become the governor of this state. So we decided to hold an event for him. And to be honest with you, we knew nobody but lawyers. So we themed it very ambitiously as a fundraiser. Lawyers don't have that much money. But a lot of what the people we knew were lawyers. So it ended up being Lawyers Forum for this fellow. And it was just here in the Shell Hall. And the place was full to the rafters. And I was like, this is really strange. But what I took away from that afternoon has been with me, and I think I should share it with you. The biggest, the most profitable way in which you can use visibility and convert it into business opportunities is the respect of your peers. Not the respect of the marketplace, not the respect of the Supreme Court, but the respect of your peers. I find that I get more from the market because it is that reputation that you have amongst your colleagues that is the third dimension. That is what people check with. So when they say there's a perceived reputation that a legal practitioner has, The sounding board for whether it is true or not is they check with his peers. They say, what do you think about Dr. Ajibade? And so, as a young lawyer, I started out practicing in Ibadan, in the firm of a senior advocate of Nigeria, Olisa Chukura, SAN. And all we knew that we had to do was to reflect the excellence that the principal was exuding, which meant that you must dress right, you must be ready to work, you must be available, you mustn't be, you had to be ready to offer yourself, however foolish your answer or your statement in the law was going to be. And gradually that was converted into the respect of your peers. Until this day, I would guess that any successful law firm gets more colleague-to-colleague business other people might otherwise think. I'm not saying it is the majority, but there's a healthy 20% of your business that comes from colleague-to-colleague references, whether they be abroad or in Nigeria, whether they be on the bench or they be senior counsel or they be as in-house counsel or what have you. So I think, so I'm not sure I answered your question, but the short form of it would be, even if you don't have any science right now, even if you don't have any study or any market survey or market analysis, the easy checkbox and the first one to do is to ensure that you earn the respect of your peers, because that's the visibility that really counts. I can come back on other issues.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Okay, so I turn to the doctor.
By the way, my friend won the election.
Okay, so my turn. I'd like to narrow my answer down to a specific aspect of the question. And I had this rose-tinted view that at some point, I'd get a tap on my shoulder saying, "Oh yes, you're a good lawyer. You should go and apply." And I got a wake-up call somewhere along the line about, my friend, nobody is going to tap you on the shoulder. If you want to become a senior advocate, you actually have to hit the road and run. And one of the pieces of advice I was given actually ties into visibility, because I was told that one of the worst things that can happen to you in our profession, if you're aspiring to anything, is for your name to come up and people say, "Who is he?" We don't know him. That it is better somebody says, "Terrible fellow," and then there's an argument, "Oh, he's actually quite nice." No, he's not nice. So visibility is critical. It's critical that when your name comes up, people actually say, "Oh yeah, we know him," either for good, hopefully. It's better than not being known at all. So I think that's it's a critical point. So going to Tolu's friend who spent, I don't know how many hours, and it might still yield something somewhere down the line.
Thank you very much. Can we please give them a round of applause? Okay, I think that's a very important point, which, as we can see, came up from the two senior advocates, that there's no better assessor to your competence, and not just your competence. I'm sure the learned SCNs would also agree with me that the matter of character is also important. So your peers must also be able to judge your character. So speaking about character, and I think these are open to all the panelists. I couldn't extend the first question to Adewumi and Kunle. I'm sure Kunle very soon I will extend it to you, because the three of us are not senior advocates, so that question was limited. But speaking about character, one of the consequences of visibility, and I must say to the very senior members and my colleagues here, that is a very sensitive question, so I'd like you to look at it closely. One of the consequences of visibility is also the question of you demonstrating good character and integrity. So it's one thing for you to be everywhere trying to create wealth. But in the course of doing that, you may run into situations where you will need to defend your character. And this is in the realm of matters around corruption. So I would like to hear the members of the panel admonish all of us whether in the course of doing this, you have encountered this, and if so, how were you able to deal with it? And I give you an example. Sometimes in 2016 or 17, no, 2016, somewhere in South Africa, we were in an arbitration. And the other side, the client on the other side, was a bit impressed with performance on our side. And when we came back to Nigeria, they decided to give us a brief. But the brief was conditional. The condition was a brief worth 30 million naira. We were asked to quote for 60 million naira. So that when the payment is made, then we will settle the account. Now, this was at a time when one of us had his father in the hospital, and there was an obvious need in the office. So you really needed that money. So you were turning between the matter of your integrity or having to deal. So in going everywhere and creating visibility, I will come back to how you can be visible. But it's important we quickly sound this warning that there's a consequence. And the best way to deal with it is let's hear from the very senior members here and everybody here if they've experienced it before and how they have been able to deal with it. Let me start from who is also my contemporary. So he's likely to have faced that, and let me know how he's dealt with it.
Thank you very much, Tolu. Before I address that question, it's interesting that I'm the one you're asking that question because I provide services in the immigration, I provide immigration services. And everybody knows when it comes to immigration, there's always the case of, oh, you need to give somebody money to facilitate what is being done. But we've been able to create relationships, which has worked for us over the years. And based on that, based on those relationships, we've been able to sell that to our clients. So we have international clients that will reach out to us and say that, oh, we need assistance with 1, 2, 3. And you are able to service them because, first of all, you're definitely signing agreements that have to do with their own, like the FCPA, for instance, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, that covers dealings with American companies. You have to sign those. So as you are signing that, it means that you need to ensure that while you are providing services to them, or everything is done above board. And it's the funny thing is it's possible. It's possible to serve those clients. It's possible to serve them and not go around giving handouts to people. So I think it's important because that's what we've been able to leverage on. So based on that, they are now able to reach out to all our other law firms and refer them to us over the years. Thank you.
Thank you, Tolu. I think that's probably one of the most difficult things that we have to contend with in our profession. And I mean, one thing that struck me when I was looking at the theme of this session, and one thing I wanted to get across at the earliest opportunity, and I'm glad you're giving me that opportunity early on, is that we need to change our orientation away from the legal profession being seen as just about making money. Because if we focus too much, we must focus on it because, like we say, law is a business, and if you're not profitable, you will not last for very long. But the focus cannot just be about money because our profession offers too many temptations for us to depart from what the profession is supposed to be about. And in order to be able to maintain your dignity, in order to be able to maintain the nobility of the profession, you cannot be just all about money. And that is the only way you can resist these temptations. I mean, I'll give you a direct anecdote, and this occurred all within the last, maybe 2-3 years. A gentleman came into our office, asked to see me, and he wanted to instruct us to obtain an injunction against a state government in the Southwest. And And he said, he told me what the facts were. I thought he had a reasonably good case. And I said, yeah, of course, we'll be happy to take your instructions. But he now asked, he said, I need you to guarantee that you will deliver that injunction. Okay. I said, yes, we will, we would make the right arguments and do our best for you. But he said, no, I need a guarantee. I'm prepared to pay anything, whatever it takes. And I sort of read between the lines. I understood where he was going. And I told him, we don't do that here. All I can do as a lawyer is to advise you as to the strengths and weaknesses of your case and to guarantee you that I will do the best I can for you. But I'm not in the business of guaranteeing anything. Because obviously he was looking for somebody who would say, oh, well, I know the judge. This is how much you pay us as fees. This is how much you need to pay the judge to make sure that you get your injunction. And I wasn't prepared to do that. Now, the thing about, our profession and about reputation is that when you do those kind of things, the same person who has led you down that path is the same person who's going to go outside and say, oh, yeah, those people, this is what they do. So we need to be very careful. We want to be profitable. It's a business we're running, but our reputation and our ethics have to be paramount.
Thank you very much. So let me go to the only lady on the panel. But she's just not the only lady on the panel. In some cases, you will find that if in-house person who is demanding for this, and where you do not yield to such demand, you don't get the brief. Or in other cases, they are given to you. And when you find yourself in that situation, how do you deal with it?
Thank you, Tulu. So I'll be responding to this from a slightly different perspective, which is from the in-house counsel perspective. You see, it's very important, and I'm going to toe the same line as the SDN. In terms of your reputation, you need to stand for something, or you will fall for everything. Your reputation is very critical, particularly when you are in this kind of role. You are the chief compliance person. That's who the company sees as the most compliant person. There has to be a level of trust they must have. Now, how do you manage a situation where you have actually, in quote and unquote, taken a package from your external solicitor? Now, if that external solicitor does not perform, how do you address it? Because again, it comes back to your own performance. It comes back to your own excellence. So you need to be very careful and mindful that these things, you need to be content. It comes back to the character aspect of it. You need to be content with who you are, with what you have, and your ultimate goal as an in-house counsel. So sometimes you have, even the external counsel offer you these things. How do you address it? The truth of the matter is, in my own organization, it's a multinational. I tell people that if you give me anything, would you be comfortable if I report it or declare it? If you will not be comfortable with it, then that means you cannot give it to me. But if it is something I can tell my organization that I got this from you, then I will be comfortable to take it from you. Because if you give me maybe an AMPA during Christmas, and I'm able to report it as a chief compliance person, then I think we can all be good on that. But if I cannot, then it shows that there is a motive behind it that I need to really get very clearly. So that will be my own position.
Thank you very much. Let me move to the very distinguished senior advocate. And I'm sure with his years at the bar and the inner bar, I'm sure a lot more that he's going to be able to share with us.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to speak after this panel is not gender sensitive, so I'm very happy to speak after you, madam. I got a call one morning from a general counsel in a bank. That bank has now been merged with another bank. And she called me in a hurry. She said, I need a lawyer. I need an SAN urgently. We have a case in court tomorrow, and we need somebody who's going to help us dude, I need you to recommend somebody. And I said, what? I must have looked at maybe the only mirror in my office. I said, why is she asking me to recommend an SAN? I mean, she should be saying, well, can you go to court tomorrow? And I said, no, what do you mean? Okay, I'm supposed to be, no. She said, she made some noise. I couldn't really figure it out why she couldn't use me. She wanted a recommendation. So I started to rack my head, and I rattled off some of my friends who I could vouch for their ability. And she listened patiently to me tick off many names. I'm sure Dr. Ajibade's name was there. I ticked off many names, and she just said, no. She said, look, Shpo, I don't need all these your Oyinbo-speaking friends. I said, what do you mean? And she told me the lawyer on the other side. And she said, so I need somebody who can play his game. And I think what I took away from that is that the market, and we're all in the market knows. And I think that's what Dr. Ajibade was saying, that none of this will be hidden. The market knows. The same people who you transact with are the same people who will build that reputation about your character. And so that's the word you used. And I think if nothing is a deterrence, that should be a deterrence, because we trade with our reputation. And once that is tarnished, your ability to trade becomes a problem. If a woman in the market is known for selling sour tomatoes because they are no longer, because they are overripe, you will not go there. And I like to use that analogy because, as I'll probably elaborate on this later, as lawyers, we are traders. There's nothing more sophisticated about what we do. We pay for knowledge, we add value, and we sell the knowledge. We buy and we sell. So if any trader who is brandished with a bad reputation will not sell.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let me stay with again the only lady. So I'm also trying to now be gender sensitive. So let me stay with Adewomi. A few years ago, someone was telling me, they were telling me at the Law Society, a company secretary of one of the first 5 banks gathered in a small room, and none of the 2 senior advocates here was in that room anyway, gathered in a small room, about 5 senior advocates and some younger lawyers. And what was the concern? This company secretary had been served with an order of injunction to, according to him, to lock all the branches of the bank. And therefore, he wanted a senior advocate to come and help him out and give him the best strategy. Of course, in that room, all the senior advocates came out to set out brilliantly what were those things you needed to put before the court to set aside such an order of injunction. But there was a young boy in that room. And the young boy raised up his hand from somewhere at the back. And the company secretary, yes, can I hear you? He said, sir, my question is this. What will it cost the bank to be shut down for 5 minutes? Everybody turned back and looked at this gentleman. What the hell are you talking about? We have distinguished people who have spoken here. We are asking what will it cost? So they ignored this gentleman. And then the meeting came to an end. The company secretary told all of them, we will consider your various views. Please, again, put them in writing, send to us. Then we'll look at it and, we'll come back to you. When they were leaving, he asked his PA, please call me that young boy and bring him to my office. So they brought him to his office. And he asked him, why did you ask that question? He said, well, before I start pontificating, I need to know what is the commercial consequence of that order of injunction on your bank, particularly in terms of reputation. For him, that was more of the cost the bank will suffer. So I look to you, Adewumi, as a person. What are the qualities that you will look at? Because we're talking about visibility. So you might meet all of us in one room one day. Why will you take this lady in front of me over the gentleman in that pattern tie?
Thank you. Very interesting question. So I will go straight into the point. Number one is I want to see a business partner. Why would I pick, you as a lawyer? Is that you can show to me that you understand to a very large extent my business. You are not coming to speak legalese to me and not give me solution to my problem. How am I going to project your solution to my organization as a solution to the problem at hand? So that is one. Two is your ability to understand what the issues are in itself. One thing is to understand the business. The second thing is to understand the issue in itself. So the good example of the story you just told about that question, that singular question, changed the dynamics of, the company secretary's perception of the young man, is because it showed that every business is there to make profits. You don't want anything to dwindle that profit. You don't want anything to increase your legal cost, because the reality in the in-house is you are seen as people who spend money, not bring in money. So how then do I help to save legal cost for my business? So I need to be able to see that you are giving me a cost-efficient solution to whatever issues I'm bringing forward to you. Not that you're going to tell me that, I need to get a garnishi, I need to get all of this. Meanwhile, what you need to do is maybe to get an injunction. You understand what I mean? I'm saying don't make a big mole out of, yes, you can make, there are opportunities to make money. But even if that's going to be your first brief and you're going to earn just so little, but you create a lasting solution and an impression in the mind of my organization, that is what I will look out for. Not someone who is trying to take advantage of the opportunities that has been opened to.
Thank you. Can we please give her a round of applause? So most of us now know what it is. So when Dewumi is going out, please don't harass her too much, but demonstrate to her that there is that value too. Now, I've been told that we have 6 more minutes to wrap this up. I want to give the audience an opportunity to also please interact with the distinguished members of this panel. Unfortunately, I'm only able to take 2 questions. One from a gentleman and one from a lady. But here is the catch. The 2 questions must be questions that if you don't ask them, heavens will fall. So start thinking about those 2 questions. If you don't ask those 2 questions, the heavens will fall. But before I come to you, I will quickly ask one more question, and I will want the distinguished panelists to just give me short answers. Now, there is a trend going on in various law firms, and I'm sure a number of you will resonate with this, that the duty of marketing a law firm or marketing the business of law rests primarily with the partners of the law firm. I'm sure many of you who's heard that before in the firm. Nobody. Wow. Anyway, I'm telling you what it is. So the junior lawyers in the firm will tell you, it's not my business to look for work. It's your business at the partnership to look for. But let me tell you what is even more interesting. We're beginning to see that litigators also don't believe they should market their business. So when you're speaking to a core litigator, you can tell that it's difficult to connect as opposed to when you're possibly speaking with a solicitor in the firm. So I wanted to share your views, sirs and madam. What your perspectives has been in your various law firms. And Adeomi, I'm sure you can also whose duty really is it to market this business? Is it that of the litigators or is it that of the solicitors? Let me start from Kole.
Okay, thank you. I think that was one of the things that, because I just had two partners join me about 3-4 years ago. So that's one of the conversations that we had. It's a case of, we want everyone to think of the practice as a business. So we decided that for everyone that brings in any business, you get a percentage. And that percentage is put in your letter of engagement, in your letter of employment. So that mindset that you eat what you kill is there, and it runs across board. So everybody begins to look for opportunities. First of all, it starts with your family. Your family members are your first port of call. Then your church members as well. Before you know it, you'll be surprised the kind of connections we have. So in itself, we had decided, and we've seen that it has started to yield fruit, because you now see associates come to us and say that there's an opportunity here, but I can't go on my own. I want this partner to go with me, and let's speak with this general counsel. So once that work comes in, the person gets a share. So I think that in itself would allow partners start to look at the associates, start to look at law practice as a business, not just, it's a case of only when the partners bring in work that we do all the work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very much. And it's interesting to know that you have that what I call it, arrangement, because we also have it in my firm, interestingly. But I tell you, in the whole of 2019, the percentage you will take of every transaction or brief you bring in is even about 20%, something around that. In the whole of 2019, not one person took advantage of it. So it was a case of I'm okay with my salary, and I'm okay with whatever bonus you declare to. So it's okay to have it, but I think, again, it's something we need to look at. Why are they not taking advantage of it?
Maybe I need to come
But we did that quickly. Let's move to Doctor.
Again, an interesting point. We all seem to have similar structures, and we also have the same challenge. But I think there are a lot of factors that go into it, because it's one thing to try to encourage everybody in the firm to market, to bring in work. Depends on how busy your firm is. Truly, I think that incentive for associates sometimes doesn't amount to much in a busy practice, because the time is not even available for them to market if you have a busy practice. They're too busy dealing with the work. I don't think that we should create silos. I don't think marketing is for solicitors or for litigators. The style of marketing may be different, because your solicitors will typically have more time to interface with potential clients. Litigators can't really go out there saying, do you have a dispute? I can help you with it. But then there are other ways in which litigators can market. One of the most effective ways, in my view, is to identify a particular area of law and to consistently write in that area of law to exhibit your expertise in that particular area. But definitely, I think that the law firm of the future, the responsibility for marketing cannot rest only with the partners. Indeed, for me, in considering whether to make an associate a partner, the associate's ability to generate work will be a critical consideration, because no matter how brilliant you are, no matter how good your law firm is, if work is not coming in, the business is going to die. So I think it's a collective responsibility.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Let me go to my left side. So, Deumi.
Okay, so in-house visibility and marketing are also very critical. You see, there is a tendency for non-lawyers to assume they can carry on their business with or without a lawyer. But until you create that value, until you put out yourself to them, to let them understand that you are a partner with them, it's a teamwork. If anything goes wrong with this laudable project that you want to do, without the legal input, it's at your risk and it's to the loss of the business. But if you understand and we create that impression and that perception that we are a part of this business, we want it to succeed. And so, at the end of the day, you can't do without, working with your lawyer. Moreover, you are not particularly paying to me right now, but at the end of the day, the success of the whole thing comes back to all of us as a business. Now, one of the things we do in the legal department in Lafarge is we create opportunities for legal clinics, even concerning their personal, legal needs. So sometimes you need to tell people that, do you know the implication of using your child, who is a minor, as your next of kin? I can tell you a lot of employees have put their minors as their next of kin. So when you create an awareness for them, it changes a lot of perspective. People come up to you and they're telling you so much more. Oh, I bought a land. I bought it in my son's name. Or I bought a land. I bought it in my name and my husband's name. So they tend to open up to you if you also, make yourself available to them, accessible to them. And that is why I think, as lawyers, we should not just all be about law. You need to connect with people. Connect with them beyond law. Know people. Network with people. Be of advantage to them. Give them free legal service sometimes. And you will be so surprised. And this is how we turned around the legal department of Lafarge. Today, I tell you, the legal department is one indispensable department in my organization. You cannot sneeze without coming to legal. We have done so much of that. Time would not permit me to say much more.
That was a brilliant comment. Can you clap for her again? Notice I'm the only one paying you platitudes. So maybe you'll brief me after. You won't brief Dr. Ajibade? So I'm networking here. It's a brilliant question. I'll try and rush through my thoughts on it. The structure of law firms used to be very pyramid in shape. At the top, in the very narrow part, were the lawyers. They were the richest. They were the ones who had the most responsibility. But they were also the ones who would stay the longest, okay, because they had a stake in the business. At the bottom, where there were the most people, they had the least responsibility. They were the poorest, all right, but they're the ones likely to leave. And over time, people started to study this pyramid as not an ideal way to run a law firm. And they inverted the pyramid. And the responsibility went to the more people. And that's when you saw the creation of things like associate partner, adjunct partner, managing associate, and all these other nomenclature to increase responsibility. Now, it's fallen down into a square so that there is responsibility all around. So every member of the firm has to feel like he's a member of the firm and is able and responsible to do all things. But it's easier said than done. Many of my colleagues and many firms will say this, but they don't give the young and upcoming lawyers the visibility to be able to attract work and therefore market. So I'm talking to somebody who wants to leave a firm to come to our firm, and her major problem is that she's an accomplished lady, she's fantastic, but she's not getting visibility in her firm, so she feels that her progression is being stunted. And if I can just throw my own view about visibility on this point, is that everybody, we think about things like brand as a corporate thing, and that SP Ajibade and Co. have this brand. They're known for great commercial law, they're team people, etc. But a firm's brand is the sum total of the personal brands of the members of the firm. So I just would like to encourage people to be conscious of developing your personal brand. Don't wait for the firm. Develop your own personal brand. What is it that differentiates you? What is it that you want to be known for? Is it, and in doing that, you shouldn't suppress your extra legal activities because they should add to your brand. If in the night you do armed robbery, it's not going to add to your brand. But if you have an interest in baking, catering, history, sports, what have you, it isn't something you should suppress. It can add to your brand. And like you said, church members and all these sort of things are not to be discouraged because these things add to the essence of who that person is. So right from the get-go, you've got to be conscious about your personal brand. What is it that, because when you meet somebody, you may not remember what that person said to you, but you will remember how that person made you feel. So what you leave somebody with is, I don't like that guy. You can't say what he said to you, you can't remember. So it's that gut feeling that you leave people with. That's your reputation, and that's your personal brand. And you've got to develop it and find a way to nurture it and project it at all times. Because there's no point in marketing if you've got nothing to offer. Thank you.
I think those were. Can we please give them another round of applause? You know, when and we're going to wrap up now, I'll take those two questions that if you don't ask them, the heavens will fall. But when Kunle talked about the church, he mentioned it in passing, and I said that we all laughed. That is one place where most of us overlook. Yes. But I also tell you that is a den of opportunity. For example, in my church, I joined the church not for the sole purpose of commercial work. but somehow I ended up, working for the church as a lawyer. And I don't earn a dime for doing. But guess what? The way the Lord works, whenever my pastor wants to introduce me to anybody, he said, that's the church lawyer. Now, who best do you want to give your brief to? It must be the church's lawyer. So this is how you please start thinking ingeniously to marketing your brand. So can I take those two questions that if you don't ask them, the heavens will fall? I've seen a lady there, and I'm looking for a gentleman. So I take I see a gentleman there. Do I have microphones around there?
Ladies and gentlemen, please can we give a round of applause for our panelists and moderators. So there are two microphones on either sides of the hall. There's one here and there's another there. So if you're, just look for the closest to you and then stand from there and ask your question. Tell us your name, be as succinct and precise as possible. Thank you. Please don't give a speech and don't recap what has been said. Just ask your question and then we'll take it from there. And if possible, if you want to direct your question, please direct it. Thank you.
So let me take the lady first.
Good morning, sirs. Good morning, ma'am. My name is Simisola Ilori, Managing Partner, Redolex LP. My question is based on, I would like to just give a brief preamble. It's not long, sorry. It's just about the fact that I believe that structure is important for visibility for young lawyers. But at the same time, we have issues with young lawyers who, through their training, are not exposed to structures, especially with regards to management of the firm, marketing, and other things that would create an avenue for them to create even good firms when they do start up. So my question is, how can the senior lawyers or established law firms create platforms and trainings for associates to acquire knowledge in firm management, marketing, for the overall benefit of the firm, and even at the risk of losing that particular lawyer? Thank you.
Thank you very much. What's your name again? Semisola. I'll take the second question. Where's the gentleman? Okay, sir.
My name is Najim Adeoye from FBS Attorney and Solicitor. My question is this. What advice would our elderly colleagues here, from the senior to the elderly, have for the senior partners in various chambers where we have a lot of young lawyers who are talented, who are gifted naturally, even before coming to law. But that fear of that man on the top in that chamber is killing the visibility of the young lawyers. And some of them are gradually losing the courage. They are gradually losing that hope they have in the law practice. What advice do we have for them so that the visibility of the young lawyer will not be killed by the senior lawyer in the firm?
Thank you very much. Okay, I will, this time, let me start from the former Attorney General and the learned senior advocate. And I think the summary of the questions, Semisola wanted us to speak to the fact that law firms should more or less create structures that would train associates, for management as well as for marketing. And I think Najim, his question was around creating an enabling environment for a lawyer to thrive in a law firm as a business lawyer. I think essentially that's the summary of. So I would like your thoughts on those two questions, and I'll start with you, sir.
Well, the Simisola's proposition about the training to equip a younger lawyer to do those other things except core legal work, the business of law, I couldn't agree more. And there are now training courses available. We're not running. We have colleagues attending some. I think they went for the first one on Saturday, and the next one is next Saturday. It's been done in 2 parts. So these courses are available that firms can get their lawyers to be trained in. Because it's like tying my hands behind my back. If you say I can bring in work, and yet you haven't allowed me to acquire either the experience or the knowledge on how to do it. But it goes both ways. Because when a young lawyer joins a large firm or even a small mid-sized firm, it's a leap of faith on the part of the young lawyer. He doesn't know except the promise of the letter and the promise of the interview what he's in for. And every employer expects him to take that leap of faith and believe all the things that management says about bonuses which never materialize, etc., etc. But the employer doesn't take a leap of faith with the young lawyer and say that, look, I will train you irrespective of what you do with that training should you leave me. You should be able to ensure that you keep such talent by dint of your own effort, not for fear of losing the talent. Thank you.
So I'll take Najim's question. For Najim, honestly, your ability to grow lies with you. It's in your hands. You see, we need to go from the mindset of I'm a young lawyer, there's some big boys up there. You need to walk up to people. You need to request for time with them. Request for sessions with them. Ask them look, if you have good and genuine questions and they see the potential in you, they will give you so much more. They will give you that platform and that enabling environment to express yourself, to share that talent, and to, grow from there. So I think you can't wait for people to come and tap your shoulder like someone said earlier. You really need to walk up to people. You need to be bold. You need to take the bull by the horn and, run with it, fight for it, ask for it. And even if it is not within that firm, if you need to contact other people outside of that firm, then please do.
Thank you very much. We're really running out of time, so let me quickly have Doctor.
Sure. I think it depends on the kind of firm that you want to run. And I think, and this is addressing both questions because I think they're related to an extent, has to create an environment where old school where, you have firms where the is working till late at night and nobody dare go home because Oga is still around. You know, so even if Oga is there till 10 p.m., the lawyers are hanging around, they can't go home because Oga is still working. I mean, that is so dated and archaic. And I don't think a boss or a senior partner or a partner who has that mentality will retain talent for very long. And in terms of allowing associates and junior lawyers to participate in management, I think a principal who doesn't do that doesn't know what he's losing, because nobody has the monopoly of wisdom. I mean, when we have our own weekly meetings in chambers, some of the ideas, some of the better ideas actually come from the associates. And you have to be open and receptive to take these ideas for the benefit of the firm as a whole. So I think allowing junior associates, associate partners to participate in management in one form or the other is only for the benefit of the organization as a whole. And, you know, addressing Najim's question, same point. I think that a young lawyer should not be suppressed. They shouldn't, a firm that wants to grow should nourish and encourage the talent that it has within. Suppressing such talent is counterproductive, in my view. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kole.
I think we've all answered the question. Just to, I think this is an opportunity for Strictly Law Business to maybe try and bring up a program for marketing to train associates. So I've created a revenue stream for you there. It's something that the truth is we are yearning for it in our because of the way the law firms of old were set up. But I think what is critical as a lawyer now is to develop yourself. You need to develop yourself to the level that people see the value in you and they won't want to let you go. So when they see the value in you, and it's something that one of my partners always says, he says that he doesn't just want to be a shipping lawyer. He wants to be a commercial lawyer, which means that he can stand in conversation with anyone, anywhere, about any legal issue, and he will be able to say something about it. So that in itself has to come in out of responsibility. You have to take responsibility to develop yourself, hone your skills to the level that people see the value in you. And they know that, oh, this person, I can't let this person go because this person has a lot of value they are giving to the firm. So the responsibility starts with you. And when you are able to achieve that, you are able to walk up to them and tell them, this is my price. This is what I'm worth. So if you're ready to pay me what I'm worth, you pay me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Akulu. Just to add to that, one, you need to build your technical skills. Secondly, and I'll use myself as an example, which I like many people to emulate. 2 years after I joined my law firm, we had we're going to have an annual lecture. And the managing partner came to a Friday meeting, an all-council meeting, to challenge everybody in the firm. To say, look, for this year's conference, I am personally going to invite and ensure that I bring in Aliko Dangote to attend the conference. And I challenge all of you in this room to also make sure you bring someone who is in the same cadre or income bracket of Aliko Dangote. So we all thought this man must be a joker. Now, of course, this was at a time when we were working on several leadership trainings and arrangements in the firm. And in our minds, we said, look, this is one of the tricks these partners use. How can you, a managing partner, a senior advocate, say that we that were even struggling to buy fuel in the car, go and bring Aliko Dangote? But as I was walking out of the room, and a few of my colleagues, I'm sure, shared the same thought, I said, look, this managing partner does not have two ends. If he can bring Aliko Dangote, let me go and look for my own Aliko Dangote somewhere. And who came to my mind? The only person who I probably thought would be bigger than Aliko Dangote would be the governor of my state. He may not be as rich as Aliko Dangote, but at least his office is richer than Aliko Dangote. So I knew the governor from nowhere. But I started looking for people who knew his special advisors, who knew his this, who knew his that. Somehow, I was placed before the deputy governor, who took me to the governor. And And the governor looked at me and said, who is this fellow? That's your friend. What is he called? Perch and what? What are you talking about? In Lagos? And he didn't say a yes, he didn't say a no. But I had this level of satisfaction in my mind. And at the end of the day, so that I don't bore you, the governor did not come for that conference. But guess what? He sent 3 commissioners and he sent 2 special advisors. My Oga, who was going to bring Aliko Dangote, eventually was not able to bring Aliko Dangote. So the point is, whatever it is, and our consultant is here, Mrs. Nzeku. So whatever it is they considered at the time to have made me a partner about 5 or 6 years ago, it is a question of value that you must always demonstrate. Whether value in terms of technical competence and whether value in terms of your social capital. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please give my panelists a round of applause? Thank you very much, sir.
Once again, we can do better, guys. All right. Thank you all so much, Dylan. Go. We can take a group photograph. And SBL Legal Law Business has a gift. SLB, we have a gift. So I'll just call the convener to give the gift all our panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, has that been worth your while? I know there are a lot of questions that we couldn't take because of time. Please do have your seats. I'm sorry to have to disturb you. Sir, you might need to step, which is why I said, come to the center here.
I'd like to present this to you, Mr. Obebe. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. Okay. We want to thank you and appreciate you for honoring our invitation, and thank you for your valuable contribution to this conference. Thank you so much. So before I make my presentation, I'd like to say something about Mr. Shashore. And I would want to point to the fact that mentoring is actually valuable and a valuable thing we need, in our lives and in our career. I know Mr. Shashore from a distance, but I have no personal relationship with him, and even with other members of this panelist, except for Mrs. Alote. And I would like to use this opportunity to thank every member of the panelists who honored our invitation on a very short notice. But one thing that, how I was able to get Mr. Shashore was because I spoke to one of my mentors, and she spoke to him, and she said, you really have to be here. And with that, I wrote on that to his office, and I said, I'd like to book an appointment to see Mr. Shashore. I waited for about a few minutes, and I was told to come back 11 a.m. the following day. And we got there 11 a.m. the following day with my team. We waited a while, but Mr. Shashore invited us in, and with all his other partners, and we had a very interesting conversation with them. And the following day, we got a very good, something from them. Which also made this possible, which made us, to be here today. So I would like to thank you, sir. Thank you so much for, the short notice and for honoring our invitation. Thank you very much, sir.
All right. Well, sorry to keep you waiting a little longer. We'll do a group photograph thereafter. Apologies.
So we'd like to thank Dr. Babatunde Ajibade, SAN. Thank you so much for your valuable contribution to the panel session. Thank you also for your support and valuable contribution to this conference. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your law firm. Thank you so much.
Sir, did you give us a little something? I'm just asking, because it's something is...
Please, ma, can we have you?
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the only lady in the panel.
Yes.
Please, a round of applause for her.
So it was by a stroke of luck I met Mrs. Alode, I think in 2018, and I started chasing her since then. And for every time I send messages to her, she would reply me. Sometimes she would reply at midnight. So and she's been very, very supportive. Last year she sent a support. This year also she sent a support. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for the support. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for being there. I appreciate you.
Thank you, ma, for the something support.
Please, it is not sorting or more.
And to our moderator who did an amazing job, please, a round of applause. Thank you so much, sir.
So I had met Mr. Aderemi, I think during SBL, somebody introduced him to me. So it's just also about, networking and trying to expand our network and our net worth. So, and I reached out to him, I kept chasing him, and I think our moderator for this panel declined, and I was thinking, who can I reach out to within the short notice, who would deliver stellar presentation, and who would also be available to take the role. And just by a phone call, there are some things that emails will not do, that just phone call would do. So you need to be rightly connected. And it's also an opportunity to get contacts from all of our panelists here today. It's an opportunity. So let's be free to network with them. We may not always have opportunity to see them all the time. So I think we'll have their, I'm sure we have their consent to network with them. So please be free to network with them. So thank you so much, Mr. Aderemi, for honoring our invitation under this short notice. We appreciate your support. Thank you, sir.
And on that note, please, can we all just come together for a group photograph? Busola right in the middle, beside, yes. Okay, let me balance the equation. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge. And thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm so delighted to be here at Business Law Conference 2.0. That means it's the second edition, and I'm so proud of Busola for putting this together. The theme, of course, is visibility for law firms and how to position, I guess, for growth.
And I must say that I've learned a lot, especially in the aspect of visibility for individuals and for law firms.
We learned about the business of law and how to be visible, how lawyers can be visible in outside their workspace, and how to make more money by being visible in their legal practice.
We lawyers generally have to stop seeing the legal profession from the conservative mindset, because the law profession has moved from its old, the old traditions and old foundations to something more. It's now a business.
I had a great time here. It was really insightful, and I look forward to the next edition of this. A very big thank you to the convener and the team.
What I took away from this conference is that there's so many opportunities out there for lawyers, that we have to be creative in how we make use of those opportunities, and the reasons why we should specialize and grow a niche from there.
The takeaway for me is that we need to keep reinventing ourselves as lawyers. A lot has changed, the world has evolved, and we need to evolve along with the world.
I came for this program, this event, because I really want to be visible in what I do. And one of the major highlights for me is the legal profession is evolving, it's in transition. It's no longer the seller's market, now it's not the buyer's market. So you need to get to let your clients know you, to like you, to trust you. And with that, you need to sell yourself consistently by being visible. And in this visibility business, you need to be strategic about it.
And indeed, I truly believe that visibility is one of the key ingredients for a successful law firm. The law practice is evolving, and it's no longer the just come do your work, technical skills based organization. You have to look at what the bottom line is. You have to have other resources within the organization that help you to grow. Visibility, what do we mean? It means putting out your thought leadership, collaborating on events, attending events, speaking at events, putting out thought leadership, looking for a way to differentiate yourself in the marketplace. These are some of the issues we've spoken about today, and I truly believe that the young lawyers here will be able to take away some key points that they'll take back to the organizations for growth and success in the future.